The NFL season is here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Week 1, Game 1, Day 1, Thursday Night Football tonight. The Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles will be raising the banner, getting their rings. Well, they already have their rings, but celebrating the Super Bowl from last year. Dallas trying to right the ship. Last year was a disaster for them. Now we're going to talk about this from a betting perspective. I'm not going to lie. I feel pretty good about this game. I feel pretty good about kind of understanding the game script, understanding the game enough to try and find some value in things. So real quick, the game is moving all over the place now. So it opened as, let me preface or preface some of my friends would say. These lines have been out for a long time. All right. So it's a little different when you're reading the market, but a standalone game, first game, you're still going to have some market movement towards kickoff. Now it opened, let's just call it 7. We've seen it move to 8.5 at places, and it's kind of sat there. It did touch 9, I think, at some other spots, but for the most part, it's been sitting at 8.5. Now earlier, it moved to 7.5 at DraftKings. Now it looks like it's back to 8.5, so it's bouncing back and forth between 7.5 and 8.5. I would assume it's going to fall closer to 8.5 by the time kickoff comes around because late money is going to bet the favorite, whatever. I like Dallas at 8.5. I think it's worth a bet at 8.5. It seems like it's going to be the high water mark. So if you are looking to bet Dallas, try and get the 8.5 or wait until kick because they'll probably pop up. So, and remember, always get the best line. Like if I'm showing DraftKings right now, if DraftKings is an 8 and then FanDuel's an 8.5, go get FanDuel. Don't just bet DraftKings or don't just bet MGM or Caesars or whatever. Shop around, get the best line, especially if you live in a state like Louisiana where mobile betting is available and you can have all of these apps. Total, I love betting unders and I love betting dogs, especially prime time. I like the idea of the under here as well. I think Philadelphia starts off slow. New coordinator, all right, new offensive coordinator. We don't know how that's going to work out offensively as far as like what they'll look like or if they're rusty or whatever. It also is the first game where they're celebrating. At the beginning of the game, they have to go through the pomp and the circumstance of raising the banner. It's not your normal, game day prep, and it's week 1. All right, so just in general, it's not your normal prep. So, and it's a divisional game, familiar opponents, all of that. Philadelphia, they just want to run the football. So if they're winning, which we assume they will be because it's an 8.5 point spread. If they are in control of the game, they're just going to run the football. We know what Philly does. They are not afraid to chew 9, 10, 11 minutes off the clock. So I think dog and under, and it's correlated. Obviously, the less points a game, the more valuable the points the dog is getting. So if we're expecting this to be an under, then it leads us towards Dallas. If we're looking at Dallas, we want this to be an under. We don't want it to be a shootout. So I like 8.5. I like the under. Also, Wong teaser leg. So if you don't know what a Wong teaser is, it's a teaser system where you bet 6-point teasers. You tease favorites down from 8.5, 8, or 7.5. So then you would get them at 2.5, 2, or 1.5. And you tease dogs up from 1.5, 2, or 2.5. Easy way to think about this is the teaser goes through key numbers of 3 and 7. So you're getting the maximum value of your teaser. Whereas if it's like if it's a plus a half and you tease it to plus 6.5, you go through 3, but you don't go through 7. Okay. So the Wong teaser you do. So Philadelphia would be a great teaser leg. You could tease them down to 2.5 or 2 or 1.5, depending on where the number goes. A couple other legs you could use here would be like, you could tease depending on whether you got to kind of see where these numbers go because you don't want to lose value or whatever. But let's just say this was Sunday morning, teasing the Falcons up to 8.5, really strong at home, divisional game, first game, whatever. Teasing Denver down from 8.5 or 8 to 2 or 2.5, really strong. Teasing Seattle up to 8 or 8.5, really strong legs as well. Detroit, teasing them up. So there's some options if you want to do that as well. There's a lot of great teaser legs this week. So right off the bat, and I'm going to do a video, I think this weekend, where I pick we're going to do one every week where we just pick every game and we'll just keep it running just keep a running number, see how it goes. But Dallas, the under, Philly for teaser legs. Now let's talk about props. All right, so we know the game script, right? We kind of have an idea of what the game script's going to be. So how do we attack that with the props? I'll tell you right now. First thing I'm looking to attack is Dak Prescott passing all across the board, just blindly betting his passing overs. You don't roll into the season with Javonte Williams and Jaden Blue and expect to run the football on the Philadelphia Eagles, especially when it's an 8.5-point spread. We have to assume Dallas is going to be down. We have to assume Dallas is going to have to throw themselves back into the game. You have Dak Prescott, you have George Pickens, you have CeeDee Lamb. You know what they're going to do, all right? So right off the bat, I'm looking at passing yards, 249, over. Pass attempts, 36.5, seems kind of high, but find the best number, over. Completions, 23.5, over. Just blindly betting all of Dak's overs. I tried to find some games from last year that were kind of similar. This one is kind of the same script. On the road, got to throw yourself into the game. Now, this one's a little different because they were winning. So at one point, at halftime, they were up 10-6. So this one's a little bit different, but still, he threw it 38 of 25 for 243, which, again, if they're winning in the first half, he's not throwing as much as he probably would against Philly, but kind of shows you what they would do in that situation. In this game, CeeDee Lamb got 13 receptions. That's got to change a little bit because now you have to factor in George Pickens, but still, CeeDee Lamb's going to try and get his. I was looking at other games on the schedule to try and compare it to. Maybe Baltimore. Let's see. I mean, this is a little different because it's at Dallas. It's at home. So it's not exactly a, 1-for-1. But in this one, he goes 28 for 51, 379. And Jake Ferguson gets 11 targets. CeeDee Lamb with 7 targets. So I like Dak's overs. I think you just blindly bet it. I don't see how they can do anything else. I don't see how they can run the football. I don't see why they would run the football. So I like his passing. As far as receiving, so CeeDee Lamb is the guy where it's like, how does he not have 74 yards, right? And maybe. But I don't know I don't know how the team is going to look with George Pickens involved. I also would assume Philadelphia is going to say, yeah, CeeDee Lamb's not beating us. So I'd wait and see on that one. The player I do like, though, is Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson, over 3.5 receptions. I like this a lot. If Dak is throwing a lot, and you got to assume Philadelphia's going to do everything they can to stop Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, he's going to dump it to Jake Ferguson. And if all he needs is 4 catches, a game where we're expecting Dak to throw the ball a ton, I think this is easy. I don't want to say easy money, but I think this is a solid bet right here. This is something I would absolutely make. Is Jake Ferguson over 3.5. So on the Dallas side of things, you're looking at just playing Dak's passing props, best available, wherever that may be. And then Jake Ferguson over 3.5. It is available. I would not be surprised at all if this moved to like minus 160, minus 170, or even got to the 4.5, which I can't recommend to play there. The other player prop that I like is Jalen Hurts rush attempts. I love this prop just in general. I love quarterback run props because, especially with Jalen Hurts, if you've watched the Eagles, they are not afraid to do Jalen Hurts designed runs and the tush push and then him scrambling. You can get 6-7 rush attempts in a drive. I mean, especially if they're getting like 3rd and 1, 4th and inches on one drive, and it's just tush push, okay, design run, okay, design run, okay, oop, another tush push, oop, now they're in the end zone, whatever. So Jalen Hurts over 9.5. I don't know if there's 8.5s or 9s or whatever available, but I would be looking at this. You also might get the kneel down. So sometimes when you're betting quarterback rush attempts, you want to bet the favorite because then you can get free kneel downs at the end of the game, and kneel downs do count as a rush attempt. So I think the Eagles will keep it relatively simple. They're going to try and run the football, get into short yardage. You know what they do in short yardage. They run Jalen Hurts in the end zone or around the end zone, run Jalen Hurts. I think he could get this. My only hesitancy is if they are blowing out Dallas, then they're not going to run them. You know, if it's just a complete blowout, then they're not going to risk, you know, they're not going to run Jalen Hurts like crazy. So you need it to be pseudo competitive in the first half and probably going into the fourth, just to keep him going, keep their offense running like that. But I would look at his over 9.5 for rush attempts. Now let's see here. And something else I like is we kind of just talked about it, but I like the idea of Jalen Hurts. I mean, plus 450. I thought it was like 6-1. So shop around. But Jalen Hurts, first touchdown scorer. You know what Philly does if they move the ball down the field on the first drive and they're on the 1 or they're on the 2, you're going to get a couple cracks at it with Jalen Hurts and the tush push. So don't hate the idea of him first touchdown score. 450 is not really enough. Minus 150 anytime score, why not? But if you can find like that 6-1, 7-1 first touchdown score on him, that would probably be worth it. And the rest of them, I've seen a lot of people say Will Shipley, anytime touchdown. If you can find it, you know, 8-1, 9-1, whatever. But the idea here is Will Shipley's the backup running back. He is the number 2. If the Eagles are blowing out the Cowboys, he's probably going to be in the game. So if it's a complete blowout and they're just, you know, playing the backups or whatever, and Saquon's not in there, Jalen Hurts isn't in there, Will Shipley could absolutely get some goal line touches. So if you can find him, 7-1 is not really worth it. But if, you know, 11-1, 10-1, 9, whatever, maybe worth it there. But there you go. I mean, I really like this game from a betting perspective. I think I have a good handle. Oh, there you go, right there. See, now it's Philly minus 7.5. So I know MGM, before I did this video, MGM still has 8.5. But like I said, wait until kickoff. Money's going to come in on the Eagles late. Public loves betting favorites. So I wouldn't be surprised if 8 or 8.5 was back. But it shows you the watermark. And a lot of times when you're betting, you're trying to find the high watermark to see, okay, where is their resistance from the market? The resistance here is at 8.5. 8.5. So, I mean, this is like the bettors are telling you what they're doing, right? They're telling you that at 8.5, Dallas is a play because it went to 8.5 and now went back down to 7.5. And they're telling you Philly at 7, 6.5, 7.5 is a play. Maybe not 7.5, but they're telling you like that's the range, right? So I'm an underdog bettor. So what I try and do is I try and find that high watermark and get the most value as I can, right? If you're taking Philly minus 8 or minus 8.5, you're not getting any value. You might win the bet, but you're getting no value. The value would have been in Philly minus 7 or minus 6.5 in the summer. So that's what I'm looking at in this game. I think Philly wins. I think it's close early on, and then I think Philly just wears them out. They just lean on their offensive line, lean on, you know, their running game. They're going to run the football. I don't think Dallas can stop it for that long. Philly probably extends the lead, sits on the game. I think Dallas has to throw the ball. I don't think they can rely on Javonte Williams and Jaden Blue. I think Philly wins. I think Dallas covers. Play Philly on teasers. Take those props. Football's here. Get in there, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.